So welcome everyone, also from my side after the great opening remarks from Delphine. I'm very excited about moderating the first session with you on product design's seat at the table. I think this is truly at the heart, I think, and a great opening. Maybe very quickly, my name is Victor Dijon, and I lead for Carney what we call the consumer goods and retail practice in Europe. Maybe just a few words of introduction into the topic. I think this is really something we want to dive into today, and I want to quickly outline what we're going to talk about, because I think we all remember the days when product design was very much focused actually on the functional focus of a product and less about experience, and clearly this evolved. We will talk about and explore why product design has become really a pivotal topic in our current business context. And then we also discuss, of course, the challenges that come with it to make it truly a CEO priority, and the critical factors around the design process, including the importance of the consumer or user, as we call it in some industries, I think, because really that makes the difference in becoming truly a competitive advantage. For this session, we have a great round of top executives, truly from diverse industries. I apologize that we don't present to you a lot of gender diversity on stage, I guess, yeah. But we hope we're going to compensate that with diversity of thoughts and provocation that will hopefully also trigger quite some questions from you, from the audience, from the practitioners and experts. We're going to have the opportunity that you can post questions actually in the chat. Somewhere there might be then also a QR code, I think, coming up from Slido. I think this is a great opportunity so that you don't forget the question you want to ask, yeah? If you can put it in there, and then we're going to, of course, come to it at the end of the session. So a quick introduction. We have on stage Marc Auclair, the CEO of Caramba & Co. A lot of us probably have experienced the products.
Yeah, and Delphine, it's a pity you've not put the Caramba in your small bag. It's not a train. You could have put that.
Was just provocative, I guess. Yes, exactly. And thank you, Marc, for also bringing a question to us and to the panel. What is product design and what it makes it worth actually being a CEO topic? And a good segue into the discussion today. We have Joachim, the CTO and CIO of Martelli, who says it's super important to also think about innovation in the matter of speed. You have to bring much more speed today to the innovation piece, and we're going to talk about how to make that happen. We have with us Benjamin Fitoussi, the president of Rolling Stock and Components at Alstom, who also says, we at Alstom, we are actually spending 1 hour of engineering for 1.5 hours of manufacturing. So development is at your heart of efficiency and performance. And then finally, Pascal Houdaillé, good friend, senior advisor to Carney, and also a former CEO at Henkel's beauty care division before he moved to Orveon, founded and led the company globally, lived in 3 different continents, and brings, of course, a lot of global perspective to the discussion. So with that, let's kick it off with the first question, which I think brings us into the topic. Why has product design surged actually to the top, and why is it a CEO priority today? And I would give the first word to Pascal to share his perspective.
First of all, thanks a lot, Victor, and very happy to be here, to see some friendly faces and ex-colleagues, which I was not expecting to see. Let me start by a provocative sentence. Nobody's selling product anymore. Product has moved to service, service are moving to experience, and design is about innovating in these 3 fields. As a consequence, you know, what we are doing as CEOs, and I've been the CEO of 4 companies, and I'm about to become CEO of a listed company. Design has become a key topic for the board, because it's about the brand or the portfolio of brand, and this is something that very rarely you give a delegation of authority to somebody else. That's point number 1. Point number 2, I had the chance when I was leading a makeup company in New York until 6 months ago, and working with Kearney, that's the first time we met, that I went to Chicago, Delphine, to the first, PERLab. And I took two of my brands, Laura Mercier and Bare Minerals, through the PERLab thinking. And what I did is that basically I could experience, how you could think about design of the portfolio, design of the product, design of course, the packaging, etc., and rethink in a competitive intelligence setup something that you don't see in a boardroom, in a different setup. And that led us to basically totally change our Bare Mineral brand. It's a pretty decent size brand in the US, and we basically redesigned totally the brand architecture thinking, but also the design of the brand, and the experience, because makeup is about experience, in the Sephora or in the Ulta. So that's the point I wanted to share.
Fantastic, thank you. And that, of course, is important to make the right decisions, right, on the portfolio and the competitiveness. And maybe Benjamin, if you would like to also share your perspective to that question.
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. No, I think for us as manufacturers for years, we have tried to globalize our activities, trying to have global products with global supply chain, global setup, and that was basically the strategy of all the manufacturers in the world. I think the time is over. We are moving from an era of globalization to an era of what I would call fragmentation. Fragmentation in the product we have to offer, and fragmentation in the supply chain, which is supporting this offering. Each of us, I think we have very unique needs today, and we don't want the same car as our neighbor, we don't want the same clothes as our neighbor, we want to change fast. And besides that, with the supply chain, and all the macroeconomic environment we are in, we can no more rely on a global setup to design a product, and we have to think much more about local and regional setup. So I would say for us as a manufacturer, this has a huge impact. First, it means that we are no more a B2B industry. We are becoming a B2B2C industry. We have to understand the end user. Today, if you take a train today, I want you to feel better in a train than in a plane, or better in a train than in your car, or co-sharing car, or with your bike when you are crossing Paris. And for this, you need to have a unique experience during your journey. It means as well that for our customers, capital cost is important, but is not the only criteria. We move from a capital cost to a cost of usage. It means that we have total cost of ownership over the life cycle of our solution. I think it's the same in the car industry. And at the end, what matters as well is the value we will sell the product at its end of its life. It means also that the series is much smaller, and we have to be much faster on the market to deliver them, because technology is evolving very quickly, and something which was lasted maybe 20 years in the past is now lasting 4 or 5 years. And the supply chain as well, as I said, is impacting significantly, because I can no more rely on something coming from China to serve Europe or US. I have to think local and to design local.
I find it fascinating what you both said, because it goes into a similar direction, which is actually really thinking consumer back or user back in that regards, even in industries that are maybe not naturally born as B2C, but they're moving much closer to the consumer and user. And now that we established it's a top priority, of course, what we are talking about, maybe also we should dive a little bit into the key challenges to actually make it happen and face them in this area, which is becoming more and more consumer-centric, but staying disruptive, also from an innovation perspective, how to leverage and integrate the right and new technologies in that process, and how to also deal with the tension between sustainability and cost, especially in the sense of willingness to pay for it, and how to unlock the supply chain resilience. So maybe moving a bit to the first one, which is people-centric design. We talked about experience, right? And understanding, obviously, the consumer needs and preferences is crucial in that regards, and to over-deliver on the expectations. But we also might have heard from the very famous quote that Henry Ford actually put in front when he was asked about his cars. He said, if I would have asked the consumer what he wants, he would have said faster horses, not cars. So how do we balance that from a design perspective, and how do we ensure that we are staying disruptive enough in innovation? Maybe Mark, maybe I can.
Yeah, maybe back
get
to your initial point. Carambar & Co, obviously FMCG company and food company. I'm definitely convinced that those topics has to be put at board level and at CEO level for a very simple reason: is the resources you put behind the project. On food sector, you launch a breakthrough innovation every 10 years, 15 years, which means that you have to properly allocate your resources behind innovation and behind your core business renovation. Simple remark: if you put 10 people in marketing and asking, okay, I want a group that will work on innovation and I want a group that will work on core business, 9 out of 10 will ask, okay, I'm working on innovation, and 1 only will work on core. And what makes you leave is the core business. So on food and FMCG product, it's a lot about recipe improvement, format, pack design, etc. So it has to be put definitely at CEO level, because it's how much resources you put behind the project, how much money you put in your factories to invest behind the project, to make your core evolve, etc., etc. So I'm definitely convinced that this topic is a key topic to well balance where do you put your money and where do you invest. Then coming back to your point, obviously, we are B2C, so closely linked to customer expectation. So this is a key point in your product design. And product design is also closely linked to organization design. Once again, coming back to the resources you put behind the project, you have to well design your organization so that you can deliver the project, the new product on R&D, on factory, business development, ANC behind the brand, etc. And be sure that all the initiatives you put on the market respect the DNA of your brand.
Thank you. Maybe also, Joachim, maybe your perspectives on that.
Yeah, I'm coming from automotive industry, and Marelli is a tier 1 company. And automotive industry in the past was very traditionally organized. The OEM knew what to build, and the tier 1 delivered. But this has changed, and this is accelerating this change and disruption because of the advent of software-defined vehicles. So automotive industry is moving towards consumer industry in the way what product cycle concerns. And for us as a tier 1, this is a massive change, because we have to go for co-creation, working with our OEMs and suppliers to create the product, to focus on a design-led innovation, not only on innovation on functions or technologies, but really from a design point of view. And additionally, we have to speed up, so minimum viable products are now key to succeed, to master that speed, and it will lead to what you said in the beginning, innovation at speed. And we can already see in China, the Chinese OEMs who are so often talked about and are so successful, they have implemented that approach, and they allow cars to be updated every 12 to 18 months. Even models sold in China today are, after 2 years, they are considered as old. Very different. 10 years ago, a car was sold for 7 years with an update in the middle, or perhaps 8 years. And this one, therefore, design, which was for us as a tier 1 not in the center, because we got spec and we execute the spec, is now a core part to help to differentiate our OEMs and delivering user experience for their customers, and in the end our end customers, like you said, B to B to C, is happening for us the same. So we are no longer in execution role, we are really in the design role. So design moves to the board or to the CEO, and our CEO is driving that very much already.
And we talked over lunch also, right, how fast, especially our friends from China became in actually pushing out innovation. Yeah. I think Pascal made in the preparations to the session also a provocative comment around consumer versus people centricity.
Yeah, the point is that I think that the era of consumer-centric strategy is over. consumer-centric design is over. I mean, none of us in this room want to be called a consumer or a user, or in the pharma industry that I'm working on currently, a patient. So you don't want to do consumer-centric or patient-centric design. You want to be called a person. So it's high time that you consider the consumer as a person, as people. So I'm advocating for people-centric design, actually. And I can elaborate, on the fact that when you work on oncology, for instance, in health, you only cure the symptoms, but the person is a person that is having a very exhaustive and holistic need. And as a consequence, my push and my provocation is to think people-centric design instead of thinking, zero moment of truth. When you think about buying something, first moment of truth, looking at, the shopping experience, and second moment of truth, which is when you use the product. No, you need to look at the exhaustivity of the design.
Thank you for this. Also to further think about also after the session. And I mean, we talked earlier about that. Obviously, in order to also know the people and the centricity piece better and better, technology is an enabler, both for actually understanding the consumer better, but also actually providing speed and innovation, right? When we are thinking about the innovation design process, AI is probably a buzzword that comes up quite a bit. How are exponential technologies such as Gen AI and AI contributing to product design? Maybe Benjamin, maybe we can hear a little bit.
Yeah,
from you.
I think you started, Joachim, to highlight it, but in Alstom, in rolling stock, we have 10,000 engineers, approximately 3,000 in France. And I know that the way they are working is completely changing, and that in 5 years from now, the skills we will need and the way of working will be very different because of all the technologies you have mentioned, AI, fast microprocessing, and what software can bring today on the table. So data is becoming the backbone, and we are entering the era of software sovereignty. So basically, in the past, we were maybe hardware manufacturer with a bit of layer of software. Now, today, we are moving, like for the automobile industry, to a software-based train with a bit of hardware around. It means evolvability. So you have a train, but every couple of months, you want this train to evolve throughout its life cycle, to offer new services, to offer new requirements. This has a huge impact on the skills of the people that you have to employ, of course. And the second thing I want to highlight is that the same will apply in the way we design. We had a classical way of designing trains in the past, and thanks to artificial intelligence, and thanks to the fact that every customer has a specific need, we have to move to a modularity and platforming of our product. And with AI, we will automate a lot of the engineering tasks that were done so far by engineers to shorten the lead time with very short loops of validation of our solutions.
Yeah, okay, maybe also some more.
Yeah, I can only underline what you already said. Gen AI is really, I think, not fully understood, and we hear a lot, but what is happening is software development will change totally. We will be able to produce software and software functionality for low money with high value. So, and on the other side, also the semiconductor industry producing our chiplets, so specific design technology to allow an enormous amount of functionality integrated. These two things come together, they will increase the value of products and also upgradability, updatability of products like trains or like cars, and this will revolutionize really this is more than disruption, revolutionize the way we are developing and designing. And I think automotive industry is starting to understand what is possible. If you go to Silicon Valley and to the respective startups there, you can see it already, and I think it's good that we hurry up in Europe to catch the train, because the train is already starting to leave the station. I think this is the key topic, and here again the design-led innovation is coming again to the key decision making, or to the key deciding point whether a product is successful or not. but it's no longer a limit of software capability because this can be done with Gen AI.
And in these major changes that will be coming, obviously sustainability is a big factor that is considered and also pushed, of course, by all of us. We want to contribute to a sustainable transformation, but at the same time, we also have sometimes challenges actually with the actual consumers to justify the premium and the price point. How do you foresee these challenges of sustainability shaping innovation, design process, shaping up? Maybe Pascal, a few thoughts from you.
Yeah, I mean, I can use an example in the makeup industry. You know, when I created Orveon, which was Laura Mercier, Bare Minerals, and Buxom in New York in 21, the vision we had was a sustainable face care expert. In today's world, women and men, by the way, we use makeup, they want to move from look good to feel great. In French, we would say être versus paraître. And as a consequence, you don't choose your makeup only because you look good. And on the brand Bare Mineral was basically the flagship of sustainability for us. What we've done is that we worked 2 years in product and innovation design on the very first fully recyclable lipstick. What does it mean? You cannot use, metal. You need to know that one of the first, decision that a shopper does when she goes in Sephora or Ulta is the weight of the lipstick. If it's heavy, it must be luxury. And that means that most of the industry players are putting lead in that's the worst you can do. So we work on the reverse from a design standpoint, and we designed the very first fully aluminium packaging for a lipstick. Aluminium is the only metal that is fully recyclable, and we live today with 40% of the historical aluminium in the world. And the inside was fully changeable, refillable. And as a consequence, we gain in the US tremendous market share because people wanted to adhere to this new value of giving themselves meaning, raison d'être, we would say in France, which is beyond the design of the packaging.
Great example. Maybe back to Benjamin on this point as well.
Yeah, so of course we have financial target, but we have also corporate social responsibility. And for us, of course, as train manufacturer, which is supposed to be the greener mass transportation in the world, it's very important that we are consistent with our mission. So we have to embed in our design process eco-design principles, which means that our train have to be eco-design. They have to include all the impact of what we design on the environmental constraints. It means also, by the way, our customers, if you take, for example, France with their RATP, they put now in their public tenders requirements in terms of recyclability, use, energy efficiency. And for us, it's a major competitive advantage because we believe we can be better than the competition on that front. It means also that we are also using more and more second-hand material to build train. We can do that with metal, but we can do that also for the interiorism of the train. And more the product will have a second life after their first life. And this of course, this means a lot of change as well in the way our engineers design the trains.
And I think what it also means is everything we discussed puts quite some expectations on the supply chain side as well, right? To make everything happen, especially speed, sustainability. And how do you ensure that there's resilience in the supply chain for that?
It's a good point because on food, for example, the sustainability belongs closely to obviously carbon footprint of your own company, but more importantly on the sourcing of your raw material. I'm making chocolate, so you can imagine the carbon footprint of Carambar & Co is closely linked to cocoa production in Ghana or in Côte d'Ivoire. Yeah. So it's a real challenge because you can set up some rules on your supplier, but it's a key challenge that the main impact for us is what we call scope 1, 2, and 3, and obviously the packaging. So we're working on recyclable packaging, reusable packaging, reducing the plastic consumption, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, the key challenge is the taste on food.
That's helpful.
No, but it's important to keep that in mind. I mean, we can develop lots of initiatives on recyclable, on improving the recipe, sustainability of your product. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
You can use AI, but at the end of the day, it's the taste.
Yeah.
You like the product or you don't.
Joachim, what are your thoughts?
Resilience of supply chain, that's now in automotive industry, speaking from that point of view, in the center. Everybody learned in the crisis 2021, 2022 semiconductor what the resilience or missing resilience in supply chain is. The automotive industry is since long time more region for region, but with the advent of sustainability demands, we combine sustainability and resilience by implementing sustainable products, more recycled material, less carbon footprint, and at the same time increasing the resilience of the supply chain by having a multitude of suppliers, as we have a multitude of material we can use instead of having one supplier or a few suppliers only globally for certain materials. Aluminum is something we use, we recycle, and also that showed us, if we look in the details, it's very difficult because the grades are enormous. So what we did to increase resilience is we reduced the amount of different grades of aluminum we are using from a few hundred down to less than 20. Then we have a much better choice. So we can combine again sustainability, easier recyclability with better resilience. So this is what we try to do to improve, for sure also improving on scope 3 emissions, but that's more on the sustainability side. And if I may add one thing regarding sustainability, I don't agree to your statement it's more expensive. I think I'm deeply convinced the journey to sustainability is offering us a unique chance as innovation engine by thinking how we can improve the sustainability, less carbon footprint, lower use of materials because we recycle materials, and at the same time we can reduce costs. And we already found quite a few examples much faster than we have expected and anticipated to really showcase that we can reduce costs by having a lower environmental footprint. I would encourage everybody to think from that angle and not saying, okay, we have a new challenge, a new regulation, so let's add some money and explain to our customers you have to pay more because you get more. No, tell them you get more by paying less. And it's possible. That's an innovation engine. It's thinking innovation from the opposite instead of asking for more money for an additional requirement, but using the additional requirement to lower cost.
Thank you for that push.
Most of the time when it's good for the planet, it's good for the P&L.
Yeah. Even better. Thank you, first of all, very, very much for the discussion, the insights, and also the provocations, I think, which is a stimulus for all of us. I think we have a few questions from the audience. I'm trying to read them a little bit with leaning over. Maybe we can go through one or two if that's okay. One question is, do you discuss product design, I guess, or products during executive committee meetings? Who would like to, I don't know, Benjamin?
Yeah, I can take it. I can take this one. I think we discussed that in the executive committee, but we discussed that at the board.
Yeah.
Because once again, we are experiencing a revolution, and the board is here to make sure the company will be here in 10 and 20 years from now. So I think we have demonstrated it impacts the products, so the offering, so the strategy, impacts the way we work, impacts the skills of the people, and we know today the scarcity of resources. So definitely, we are in a revolution phase. So yes, it's part of the CEO and board agendas.
I fully agree, because it's what I've mentioned most of the time when we're talking about new product development, launching new product, you're talking about investment, you are talking about resources, so this is definitely a discussion that has to be put at the board.
Yeah.
The only caveat I would say is that that's your role as a CEO to make sure that your board has knowledge, capabilities and experience to judge. Because you can have the syndrome of Monsieur Jourdain in France, where actually people judge design without any, and then they basically project their consumer experience on a strategic topic. It's wrong. And your role as a CEO is to call it in a board meeting.
Yeah, and maybe one precision on the relevance to put that at the board level is when you have, for example, your head of industry saying, okay, it's a no-go to launch this product, considering the quantity we're going to buy, it's going to put the mess in the factories. When you achieve that, it means that the team is working together. So not only you have consumer insight, not only you have the potential of sales, but also the constraints in the factory. And then when you have that, you have won the game because they are working together.
Yeah. And I would love to be part of that as a tasting session, yeah? And the fly on the wall when you're designing, when you're talking about new products and design. Maybe one more question that we could take, even though I already see it blinking. The last one. We talked about organizational design. Is there a function, marketing, R&D, supply chain, which is best suited to lead product design?
I think it's product management. It's not engineering, it's not manufacturing, it's not sales and marketing, it's product management.
Any other perspectives?
I think it's cross-functional anyway. Everyone, it's not an engineering topic, it's cross-functional. I agree, for us in the industry, the product manager is usually the one which has to include all those functions on the table.
PMOs.
It's highly dependent on the category, if I may. Indeed, you can develop a good working knowledge of design as a marketeer or as an R&D person, but design-led thinking is a science, it's not an art. And I learned it in 20 years at P&G. I can tell you that the design leaders were teaching the marketing function how to lead design. So there are people who basically make the strategy and people who execute, and it's a combination, it's cross-functional, but you don't invent yourself, a designer. If you're coming as an engineer or even my background, which is marketing, you learn it.
Very good. With this, I must say I feel very pumped up and excited about the discussion and also what I've learned today. I hope you feel as well. I learned how we can make sustainability actually work for the P&L as a challenge. We learned how much Gen AI and AI will contribute also to our businesses in the future as an opportunity, and how much we really have to understand actually the consumer or the people around making the right products in the right place. So thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.